How you guys doing? I wanted to share what happened to me a couple weeks ago. I lost my drone, Pacific Ocean by Carmel Beach by Lover's Point. It went into about 32 feet of water. I am a scuba diver. I ended up going home, getting my scuba gear, going back to the location. It was about 30 feet offshore. I marked it by two rocks where I seen it go in the water. I went back, found it on my second dive. This is the drone. It did land in salt water. It did sink down to about 30 something feet. Spent about 7 hours in the water. I didn't have this little recovery device on me. I since then bought this, and I'm sorry I don't have any pictures or video. I'll explain to you why. But salt water is pretty deadly. It destroys a lot of things, and it's one of those things you can't, almost impossible. But since I've owned a boat and taken care of my boat engine, there's salt away. There's a chemical that dissolves salt. But the key is to keep this drone wet. So if you do crash it in the ocean, don't think it's the end of the world. It can be fixed. So this is how I fixed it. So when I pulled it out of the water, I put it in a bucket of, well, actually it was a bag of water. I held it in a bag of water until I got home. Then from there, I went into a freshwater dip. I used distilled water. I did not use tap water. I do have a water softener that has salt to soften the water. Let's get away from salt completely. So distilled water is the best. It's purified, it's clean. So what I did is I got 3 gallons of distilled water, put it in a mop bucket that fit the drone. It looked just like that, opened up in the drone, in the box, in the mop bucket of water. I used this stuff. If you can see it, salt away for marine boats. It kills salt. So I filled up one of these for 3 gallons of distilled water. I put it in the bucket, submerged the drone with about that much water over the drone with, I think that's 4 ounces of really concentrated, 4 ounces of this. And then I dropped in, I bought a little water pump for a fish tank thing, so that the water constantly moved. It was flowing through around the drone. I put that in the bucket for the first night, ran it all night long, and then I took the drone out, cleaned all the water out, and did another freshwater dip. Another 3 gallons of distilled water, and I went to 2 ounces of this, half of what the first time was. I put it in there, I did the same thing again. I ran that little pump all night long, so the water was moving constantly around the drone. The battery, it did not recover. I did take the battery off and I did put it in the water, but batteries are just get rid of the battery, throw the battery away. You lost the battery. So anyways, I did that for the second time, and that was all night again. So this thing is spent 4 days in the water in this whole process. And then the third day, I took it out, flushed the water out again. I did a complete distilled water rinse where there's none of this, just fresh water, ran the pump for another 24 hours. I've seen videos where it recovered from fresh water. I've never seen a video that I'm putting on right now that's recovered from salt water. So that's why I'm sharing this with you guys. So hopefully people don't let their drone dry. If you let your drone dry, you will never recover it. The salt dries and it starts attacking all the components inside. It's deadly. It's very, very deadly. So anyways, the third freshwater dip was just distilled water again. Ran the pump for another 24 hours. After that, I took the drone out, shook it off as best I could. I got my air nozzle for my compressor and blew off all the water I could possibly blow off. I let it sit outside for probably 6 hours in the sun. Then from there, I took it and I folded it up and I put it in a baking, not a baking pan, but a one of those cold plastic things, a big plastic Tupperware. Dropped it in there and I covered it with rice. 3 bags, 1 pound bags of rice, covered it to the top of the rice. I put it in my oven and I put it on warm, which was, I think it's about 105 degrees warm is, or 110, somewhere in there. Wasn't hot enough to melt the plastic. I let my oven run all night long. Excuse me, all night long. And then took the rice out, and I put three more bags of rice in there again, and I did it the following night. That during the day when I went to work, I didn't run my oven. I put it outside, let it sit in the sun. Came back home that night after shift, put it back in rice again, fresh bag of rice, in the oven for another all night long. The following day I took it out, I inspected it all, looked at the camera, there was no moisture anywhere. It looked like it was completely dry, looked like it was now. And then I put a fresh battery in it, fired it up, and it was the happiest day of my life. I recovered a drone that I thought for sure was going to be toast. And to show you that it does work. Whoops. Power's on. I'll turn the remote on. Everything works. Since then, I put a little recovery thing on there. This thing, when it hits water, it activates something in there, it pops this off. It floats up to like 80 or 90 feet. I think there's depth, or 100 feet. With that, it's so much easier to recover a drone. You just roll your boat out there, grab it, reel it up like a fishing rod. And this is hooked on by a piece of Velcro. It could be a little bit more stable. I put some epoxy underneath it to make it flat. And since then, it's pretty stable now. But she works. I don't know about flying in the house, but we'll do it. Everything works. The camera works. Let me show you the camera still works. Throw it on my iPad real quick. Yeah, so I wanted to share this with people because I see saltwater drones on eBay and people are selling them because they have water damage. Well, it's because they didn't do it right. There is a curable, and I think this is the key. This is the key to kill the salt. You have to kill the salt and freshwater rinses. Go to DJI app and show you the camera works. Camera works great. It's a little dark in here. Lighten it up. I'll show you guys. Camera works fine. Still movement. Up or downs, everything works fine. It's a little dark in my house, but anyways, it flies great. Recovered a $1,000 drone. I did spend about 60 bucks on, I had to buy the pump, buy this, buy 9 gallons of distilled water. But she recovered, man. So I wanted to share this with you guys. I'm sorry I don't got any pictures. The SD card did not make it through this whole ordeal. I took the SD card out, threw it in the bucket of water, did everything with the drone, but it just wouldn't fire. So either the SD card got dry or it didn't go through the whole process, because I did remove the battery, I did remove the SD card when I pulled everything out, and I didn't throw the SD card or the battery in the fresh water because I felt batteries and waters never mix, right? It's something you don't want to throw in a bucket of water. You want to get rid of the battery, get rid of an $85 battery. Never tried to even do the dip in the water, in the salt water. I just know that I dried out the battery. It did not work. I didn't do the whole freshwater thing with the drone because I was afraid the battery was going to pop or get hot or explode under the water or something bad, and I got that shit released in the water. So, got rid of the battery. That was my least of my worries. Wanted the drone fixed. Wanted it to fly again. And sure enough, there you go. And I hope this video helps. I'm not in to subscribe and none of the bullshit like that, but I'm just doing this video for people that's have lost their drone in salt water. This is the key, guys, right here. There's a couple different brands. There's Salt Away. There's this Salt CRC. Salt Away is probably a little bit better. I was in a panic. I went to Walmart, got this. If I went with the West Marine, I probably would have got the name brand better. But I figured, you know, it's Salt Away. It's gonna work. Anyways, all right. I hope this video helps you guys. If you ever lose your drone in salt water, just remember that don't let it dry. That's the key. Keeping it wet. Even if you have to leave it on shore in 3 feet of water, have your buddy watch it, or a foot of water or something, just to keep it wet. While you go get some garbage bags, fresh water, put it in there, wrap it up, take it home, and start this whole process. Never let it sit out and dry with salt water. Keep it wet, because if it stays wet, it doesn't eat and corrode like it does if you let it dry. All right. Make sure that the water is moving all the time. So that little pump is very important, because you want that pressure of water to go inside the drone and rinse out all the salt water and get things flushed. Even maybe get it deeper and get a drill and get that water to really move. I don't know, but what I did worked, and I wanted to share it with you guys. All right. Have a good day and happy drone flying.